So how do you think in sort of this marketing perspective that we're seeing, it's almost, and I think we see it too as well, the individual sort of the verbal vomiting everywhere about how good you are and what's happening. How do you see that shifting in storytelling too? Because I know that I've seen a couple of your blog posts talk about great stories. Maybe give us an example of somebody doing a great story that you really were sort of taken aback by.
Sure. A really helpful way to think about good storytelling before I provide an example is, I talked a lot about sort of, I like your verbal vomiting expression. I hadn't heard that before. But talking at people, okay? And that's one-way communication, all right? And that's the way marketing used to happen, right? We would sit in our living rooms, tune to one of the major networks, and receive marketing messages. What I'm urging nonprofits toward is two-way communication, right? Which is more like a conversation. You're meeting in a sort of around a shared worldview, or you're connecting to the values people have. What is so amazing about storytelling is it's almost a three-way communication, and that if I do a really good job telling you a story, it's not just me talking at you or you sharing something with me. We both go to a third place, where in our imaginations and in our minds, we're experiencing something new. And that's an amazing transformative experience. And stories are the best way that we relate to each other. I mean, what's the first thing you do when you meet someone or you encounter something? You try to understand their story. And Andy Goodman, who's one of my favorite people on storytelling, talks about, civilization came about in storytelling. Everything's based in storytelling. And so there's no better way to form the connection I'm talking about and make it deeper and more significant than telling a story. So what makes a good story? Well, a good story is not, facts, all right? It's not a mission statement plus a list of bullets on what we do. And I think we sometimes think that's what it is. A good story has to have that element where we feel transported, we feel emotionally engaged, we feel emotionally invested. And my favorite storytelling is done by the organization Charity Water. And as a former journalist, I think I know why they're so darn good at it. And it's that their founder, Scott Harrison, used to be sort of a photographer. He photographed celebrities. Then he sort of had a moment where he said, what am I doing with my life? He went on board Mercy ships, which are mobile hospitals that go to very poor countries and do surgeries that just transform people's lives. He took amazing pictures. And then he got onto this issue of water and how we lack the most basic needs, such as clean water, in so many countries in our world. And when he comes at that issue, because he used to take pictures, which of course are one way to tell a story, he is so wonderful at painting a great story. And I'll just give you one example, one of my favorite stories that made me cry when I read it online, which was the story of one of their staff members went out to check out one of the wells they had built. So they go around the world, developing countries, they're building wells. Well, and then they go write a report about the well and make sure it was built okay and the community's getting the clean water, et cetera. Well, they went to this community where a well had just been built, and there was this incredibly loud, raucous party going on. And everyone in the community was celebrating the new well. And a woman came up screaming to this person who worked for Charity Water, dancing and screaming, and I guess she was singing, and he could barely understand it, and then she was able to finally explain that the well had made her feel beautiful for the first time she could remember. She had spent her time walking miles to get just enough water to give her children water to drink and to use to cook with. There wasn't enough water to wash their clothes. They were sent home from school for being dirty. There certainly wasn't enough water for her to wash her clothes or herself. Imagine if you just can't even bathe, and you have to walk miles just to get enough water so you don't die. And there's this picture of her with a flower in her hair and a clean dress, and she says, "Thank you for making me feel beautiful." And it's an incredible story because it's not about the well we built, yawn, right? We don't care about wells. We care about what they do for people and communities. And it was a story about a woman feeling beautiful, not a story about a well. And it was a story that transported you to that person where she is in that moment and really made an incredibly compelling case for the work that Charity Water does. If you're looking for inspiration, go to their website. It's